Joining us today is someone who's accelerating the passion for football in India with his exceptional business acumen and unwavering dedication. He has remarkably expanded La Liga's presence in the country, driving new ventures and opening doors to exciting opportunities in the Indian market. The immense popularity of La Liga as the second most celebrated tournament worldwide is a testament to his relentless love for this sport. Please join me as I welcome Jose Antonio Cachaza, the Managing Director of La Liga Operations in India, to this episode of Duologues. So Jose, let me thank you for agreeing to do this Duologues with me, and I'm sure this is going to be an interesting conversation in a domain which a lot of people, especially the youth of the country, is looking forward to. And to begin with, let me ask you a question about La Liga itself. And from my point of view, I believe that, while many people believe it is a sporting league, one of the best in the world, I feel that it is much more than that. It might be a platform to, say, incubate and precipitate talent itself, a consistent fuel to competitive spirit, something which has consistently set higher standards, have consistently left a legacy. So some of the reflections about La Liga itself, how did it start, how did it grow, the growth story, the standards which it has set, the positioning which it has created for itself, and how do you see that happening in the time ahead?
Well, that's an interesting and hard to answer question. If we agree that in India cricket is religion, in Spain and in the rest of the world football is that religion, no? And football fans, we are all members of that worldwide sect.
Absolutely.
No? So the way this football religion expresses in Spain is through our league competition,
right,
through La Liga. No? As an history that backs from 1928, when the first edition of our first division football championship started. We just finished the 92nd edition. So this being over time, and for football is having in India many fans that they understand that it's something that's part of our lives from August to May. And then from May to August, you are wandering with new players, pre-season. So it's a craziness that keeps up following our teams.
I understand La Liga is undergoing a transformative exercise to rebrand itself.
Yep.
And if I remember correctly, it is Power of Our Football, something like that.
Yes.
Would you elaborate on this one?
Well, yes. There deep reasons are more circumstantial reasons.
Okay.
I don't know if this word exists in English.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Well, as I said, 92 years of history, but there is a clear evolution.
Right.
No, football in general. You have a football before television, which is until the mid 1960s. Then a football with television. A football with television paying a lot of money. That will be like a third stage. Now we are getting in a football with television plus digital and I don't know what else.
Right.
And something more important, what were local leagues, which is, for example, the case of La Liga, becoming international leagues, world products.
Absolutely.
So this is sort of roughly summarized the evolution of what La Liga is. So, and La Liga, I'll summarize it. What it is, some people think don't have it quite clear, is the association of the 42 professional clubs of Spain, first division and second division. That's what it is, and comes from Spanish sports law. It's mandated to be. So it's owned by the clubs, and the value of the votes, Real Madrid vote 1, club number 22 in second division 1. So it's fully democratic.
Okay.
So this is the frame where we are working. So circumstantial. Most fans know that our first division was called LaLiga Santander. Relationship with Santander just finished with the end of this season. So from July 1st, our new title sponsor is digital giant Electronic Arts. No, so we necessarily had to do a rebranding of the competition. So the name of the organization, commercial name, let's say, is La Liga. First division was La Liga Santander. Now will become La Liga Electronic Arts. But we needed, it was absolutely necessary to do some adjustments. So what at the end, what was decided is to go to a full rebranding. A full rebranding that represents the transformation of what was a domestic competition, domestic only competition with some international inroads 10 years ago, to what today is a more international product with presence in a number of countries, with a number of business lines around our main business, which is football itself. And why the power of our football? I mean, because this is what we want to project. And also, we use, even when we use it in Spanish, football, the word in Spanish, you know, which I think it translates as, in English really well and connects really well. And for example, if you look to some small details, we used to write La Liga, which in Spanish are two words. La is the article and Liga the name, with in the low letters and capital the two L's. Now we are going to capitals, full capitals, which you know in chat language means to screen. And that's what we want to do, is to screen how proud we are of our competition, of our product.
Absolutely. So if you look at La Liga, you know, while you've been modest by saying that, you know, it's a local Spain or say a European phenomena, but I believe that the passion which cuts across people in our country, especially the youth, and I don't have the data available, but in my home, my son and his friends, they've been following the league for a while. In that sense, the business objectives or the mission for which you are here, comparative to the passion which has cut across over last many years for La Liga, there might be some difference. In that sense, you know, over last few years, you would be taking forward your mission. So tell us something about the mission itself. What is that mandate which you are driving here in the country, and it has been about 6 years. We'll talk about the differences which currently exist in the ecosystem of football, which exists, say, in Spain comparative to what it is in India, and there are decades to go forward to. But before we come to that question, share something about your journey in last 6 years, and what is that mission or mandate which you're driving?
In the case of Spain, and I think this quite explains it fairly well, the competition is organized by the Spanish Football Association, and that's what brings us into all the worldwide football structure. But the sports law mandates that the economic matters and economic organization of the league has to be done by this entity that clubs have to create.
Absolutely.
So at the end, what we manage is the business of football, of the Spanish professional football. But you well know that if you only think business, you'll go nowhere.
Yeah.
So what's the bottom line of our job and why we went international? Well, like any other association, and this we have to understand that EPL show the way. International leagues, we realized that the space for growing economically in our countries was limited, but we have a product that is attractive to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So that's why we are going international, to increase the value of our commercial rights, being pure commercial and more especially broadcast rights. That's the main source of revenue for any sports competition today.
Sure.
And basically, if you look how we split our rights, is domestic rights and international rights. And That's basically it. But as I said before, it's not just coming here and say, hey, this is my product, this is the price tag.
Yeah.
That will go nowhere. So we need to establish a connection with the fans. So what's my main job in India? Well, the bottom line is my bosses will want the market to give us more money. But for finding that money, we need to find the fan first.
Right.
And the equation is very easy. It's very easy. The more fans we have in India, the more the broadcasters will be eager to pay. They never want to pay. They'll be eager to pay, and the more companies will be eager to invest in joining the brand 2 hours. This is what we do. To say it is very easy. To do it is not. So.
I agree. Yeah. So maybe taking that forward, what are those levers to reach out to those fans? And how are those levers fitting into the ecosystem of football, which is reasonably primitive comparative to what happens elsewhere? So which are those levers?
My first job when I came to India, and even today, is try to understand this market and try to know how this market works. I'm still learning on that.
Right.
And that's the basis for understanding the fans as well.
Right.
For understanding the fans as well. That's why I live in Delhi, for example, and I tell you this little story.
Yes.
When I came to India, I have this loose idea. I have almost no knowledge of India, I have to admit. But I have this loose idea that I didn't want to live in what I define as an expat ghetto. So like high rise with pool and that, which is kind of nice. So what I found to be more Indian, being right or wrong, was to live in Delhi, close to a market, going to the market, dodging monkeys on the streets. So I try to, and something I still try to do today, to have a personal connection with the country, because the bottom line I always have it clear is that I am not here to sell football. I am here to sell emotions.
Wonderful.
And I cannot sell emotions if I don't try to understand our actual fans and our potential fans.
Wonderful. So Jose, thank you so much for that one. And I thoroughly believe, in my own responsibility over last roughly 3 decades, till the time you do not understand those nuances on the ground, you will not be able to unlock those levers which are necessary. So thank you so much for that. And this brings me to my next question, something which is a follow-up of what you just mentioned. Have you observed some similarities between the two nations where you grew up, Spain and India, say from the cultural aspect? And are there some areas where you believe from the perspective of football, say India on the level of grassroots has to catch up? So my first question is on the culture, and second one is specific to say football.
First sight, India and Spanish societies are very different. Indeed they are. Indeed they are. Our cultures are very different. But in these 6 years I've been trying to understand for the first day Indian society, and reading a lot, traveling. But this I realized it quite soon. I have this misconception that because of the British domination, Indian society will be more close to North Europe or to. But when you go to the bottom line, I understood that what's more on your face is that Indian society is a communal society. Community is everything in India. A community, you call it your group, your family. That's essential. For us in Spain, community is also very important. Of course, it's not maybe as strong as here. In our society, in India, the community even matters more than the individual. In our case, it's probably the opposite. But still, this group of your neighbors, especially your family, your locals, are very important for us. Our society is not as individualistic as Anglo-Saxon societies. So for me, it's something that can bring us together.
True.
If you find that there are some commonalities between two societies, that were being this apart forever in history.
True. We spoke about the culture in the country, and there is so much more than the culture, the Indian cuisine and the content, Bollywood, and so many things. Tell me something about your experiences, say, enjoying the Indian cuisine and the content which gets generated here.
Well, Indian cuisine, I love it when it's not too spicy. And for example, if you can have like butter chicken in Madrid, and it's not poorly done, but obviously the masala is not the same and doesn't taste at all like a butter chicken in Delhi.
Right.
So that's a fair sample. I have to confess, I like to cook. So before coming to India, even thinking about coming to India, I used to cook now and then chicken tikka masala. I didn't know that chicken tikka masala is a Scottish invention, but now I know. But I think I was already prone to like Indian cuisine. No, so I really love. I had to confess that now and then I like to have a good, aloo gobi or butter chicken and. So I've been trying to live my everyday in India as close as an Indian does. No, obviously I will never be, but is what I said before. Is trying to understand this society, trying to connect to this society.
True, and specific to football, say when you look at Spain, it is a highly matured ecosystem which exists there, and India has, as I said. Will take decades to catch up. So some reflections on that?
Well, yes. It's something that I've been constantly saying because if somebody listens to me, first there's two issues that here you have to consider. No, first I talk about football itself. The biggest problem football has in India is the lack of youth competitions and the lack of football pitches. And that thing is quite general. Why is this so important? Take now what's going on, the new stars of Spain. Gavi, a starter for Barcelona and Spain, he is 18. How the hell this boy can play for Barcelona and for Spain? He just came from playing a World Cup being 18.
Right.
Only because he's a talent? No, because basically he's been competing since he was 6. First in futsal, then football 7-side, then probably since he was 11, 12, doing high performance training with Barcelona, but not just playing on Saturdays. Training twice per week. So when he is 16, 17, he already has hundreds of competition matches on his back. And if you look a 10 years old match on any sport, probably in cricket will be the same, it's really beautiful to see how they fight and they compete as if for them were the World Cup final, no?
True.
So this is number one. You don't have this structure of competition. So when young players, they reach ISL, they basically have just very few competition matches in their back. So this is around the sport. Luckily, I have to say good words about the new team in IFF. They have this quite clear, and their strategic plan goes into trying to solve this. But then there's a society situation I found. No, maybe wrong on this. India, you have a very good educative system, but highly competitive.
True.
And parents translate this to the practice of sports. So I think it's very important that Indian parents understand that your children practicing a sport in school or after school is just part of their education. Don't think that if your son trains with LaLiga schools or Barca schools have huge chances of becoming the new Messi. 99.9% won't. But you have to think that for children, boys and girls, to practice a sport is about being mentally clear, It's about learning about competition. It's about learning about teamwork.
Right.
It's about learning having a healthy lifestyle. So it has a lot of values that should be at the prime.
Right.
You know? And this is something that I found, as I said, I may be wrong, that parents they still think, well, with sports, either he's going to be the next Messi or even the next Onitsha is not worse. No, I mean, it's good that they practice sport just because they enjoy to practice that sport.
So I believe that change has started to begin now.
Yeah.
Mindsets are changing, and parents are encouraging children, if not for the purpose which you mentioned, but even otherwise for the benefits which you mentioned. And if I have to draw a parallel, say, between cricket and football, there would be several similarities. Cricket teaches you how to design and execute a strategy. It teaches you a lot into leadership. Of course, it makes you more fit and many things. What does football teach you? Like, I have myself not played football as much, but what are those one or two traits which naturally get inculcated in you while you play the sport?
I don't think there will be big differences between cricket and football on that level, no. Maybe the only one is that today a football player probably needs a higher level of physical training than a cricket player, but I think that's changing too, no?
Right.
So I think when I talk about these values, I was not talking only about football. I was talking about any sport.
Right.
No? So I remember when my son was 4, I said, listen, you had to choose a sport. Whatever you want. We preferred that is a team sport more than individual sport, but we thought that this was essential for his education.
And what do you think, Jose, in your own case? Like, you loved football, that's why you are in this responsibility, or you are a great management professional, that is why you are in this responsibility and now have a passion towards football?
Well, no. Life is more difficult than that. No, I never follow straight lines. No, I was a terrible player. Horrible player. And I love to play football even being a horrible player. So sort of I wanted to be part of the game. So when I was not even 16, I became a referee.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't make it big. I have a good projection, but I quit when I moved to the United States for my graduate work. And honestly, well, then I came back. When football transformed and create separate referees from assistant referees, so they got me directly into the 3rd division of Spanish football, the semi-pro league. So I have for 3-4 seasons, I don't remember, and I never got promoted to the professional level. So I quit when I have a professional chance in my life. And at that time, I thought that football was over for me, no, other than as a fan. I never had no intention. I never had in my expectations to be a professional managing football business. What happened is I see life as a succession of crossroads where you had to choose life, right, left, or center. Sometimes you do it right, sometimes you make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
So in one of these crossroads, I moved from my home region to Madrid and started working for this consulting company that they hired me as an expert in strategic city planning. That's the truth. My graduate work is in urban and regional planning, not in business or nothing similar. No, I studied my MBA later on when I was already on the job. At a moment that who was the director of my area, this guy from Argentinian origin, was starting to do heavy consultancy with the Argentinian Football Association. So my first real experience in sports was mediating between FIFA and the Argentinian organizing committee when they organized the Under-20 World Cup in 2001. So then one thing after another, I ended up being, I always joke that and then I moved to the dark side from solving city problems to become a full-time sports executive. But I never really looked for it. No, I am blessed that for many years I was paid for working in what I love, no, which is football.
Very interesting. And you mentioned life can be difficult, so I'm sure every individual has their own experiences and ups and downs and challenges and opportunities. Any incidents coming to your mind which was a challenge of a sort, you converted that adversity into an opportunity, whether naturally or you tried to design it that way, something which can be inspirational for people?
I don't think so. If I go really personal, I have to go to the most painful moment of my life, which affected everything in my personality and my take of life. I lost my mother when I was 9.
I'm sorry.
So I became a survivor, in a sense. So that's how I always see me, a survivor, that whatever hit I will get in life, of course, it hurts you. Of course, you suffer, but will be nothing compared with what I suffered when I was 9. No, so I think life, we tend to be. I mean, of course, there are people who is negative, over optimistic, no, thinking that everything will always come right, and it doesn't. We basically advance about learning from our mistakes and surviving the hits that life gives us. It's about that. No, but I don't focus in any real moment. No, for me is always when I have to. I mean, there's people who really enjoys taking changes, moving here and there. I tend to be more comfortable. No, so whenever it came the time of taking a decision of moving from here to there, it was always a painful moment of probably a few sleepless nights. No, but my only advice is when you take a decision to move whatever direction, I won't say don't look back, because you will look back, but do not regret. Wonderful. Even if you realize that maybe the other decision could be a little better, don't think that the one you already took was that bad. No, so just live the moment.
It's really difficult to do that. And
yeah,
how do you unwind yourselves? Like, life can be challenging at times. What is your support system like? And for a lot of people it is family, and professionally they have their own mechanisms to cope up with the stress and the challenges. So what is your mechanism?
Yeah, like? I think you just mentioned it. No, I can be quite an introvert. No, but you need that human touch. No, so it can be family, friends, a little bit of both, and that's fundamental. You cannot become a self-centered monster.
Right, that is right. So maybe this brings me to my second last question. Quite in line with what we just spoke, what is that very higher purpose which, say, wakes you up every morning, which in a larger sense infuses energy into you to do things which you do?
Wow. Honestly, I don't think in higher purpose. I am simply, as I said before, and I am blessed because I am being paid for doing things that if I didn't need the money, I would do for free.
Okay.
So to do things right is probably what moves me. To, in a sense, to realize that I create something that wasn't there before is probably the biggest satisfaction.
Thank you so much, Jose. It's a pleasure talking to you, especially knowing you. I wish you all the best for your future in the country, and I hope you will create success on the mission you are up to here in our country.
Well, I mean, I hope that we help to the growth of the game in India. This is not a threat to cricket, that's impossible. It's
Definitely not.
It's just trying to, and that's what the members of the sect of football want, to make more Indians discover the magic of the game.
Absolutely. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the conversation.